Hi YouTube, how's it going? Today we are drinking Dasani because the Coke machine did not give me a Diet Coke. Well, what happened was I paid for a Diet Coke and it didn't come out of the machine, and so I paid for another one and I did get a Diet Coke and I drank that one, and then it gave me the Dasani. So I can't complain. I've had a Diet Coke. I was just looking forward to another one, but it's the universe telling me that I need to cut back on carbonated beverages, at least sodas and things of that nature. But anyway, I digress. We are here to do a little book review, something different for a vlog today. I want to talk about Andrea Wulf's new book, Magnificent Revels. It's set in 1790s Germany, specifically a town called Jena. It's a nonfiction book about the awesome philosophical and literary developments that came out of this little town in Germany in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And it's a follow-up of sorts to her last book, The Invention of Nature, which was about the naturalist Alexander von Humboldt and how he pioneered through his exploration and experiments and thinking and writing, pioneered our modern conception of the natural world and how we fit into it. The idea that the earth itself is in a sense a living organism and should be not just studied and dissected but also wondered at. And so I've certainly never published a book, but I've done enough research to kind of know what happened in Andrea Wulf's mind as she was writing that book, and she ran into larger than life figures like Wolfgang von Goethe, who wrote Faust and other amazing poems and plays, and Friedrich Schiller, another playwright, and folks like that, and was like, oh, there's another book here. I wonder if I can write that. But of course, she was already working on a book, so she put it aside for later, and later is now. So this book is really good at balancing philosophical ideas, very deep philosophical ideas about the self and others, ideas about nature and art and poetry, and the role of art is kind of mediating between the self and nature. All that kind of deep, heady stuff with the personalities involved in this time period. Friedrich Schiller, as I mentioned, Goethe, a philosopher named Fichte, the Schlegel brothers, Schelling, and not just memorable names like these, but also the women in their lives. Women had been pretty marginalized in the world of arts and letters, and that started to change around this time period. Madame de Stael, who was a French woman who wrote a book about Germany in the early 1800s, factors heavily into the end portion of this book. Napoleon also plays a role. He basically trashes this town that we've spent the whole book enjoying, spending time in. Spoiler alert, but it's historical. Is it a spoiler if you're talking about history? I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, the town gets trashed by the French. So it spans basically that period from the early 1790s until the French come in and occupy the town. But what's remarkable is all these characters have an effect on the thinking of English poets like William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge and later Romantics, and also American thinkers and writers like Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson. And in particular, I can't imagine Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay on reliance, or whatever it's called, self-reliance. I can't imagine that essay being written without the philosopher Fichte's ideas on the self and how we experience and mediate the world through the lens of ourselves. So these guys were really influential and really worth learning about this time period and these characters. That's kind of what the book's about, but is the book good? Is the book worth reading? Well, the short answer is absolutely yes. It's a great book, well written, really readable. Again, as I said, despite these heady ideas, balancing those with the people and their daily lives. And I think the best thing, or the thing that I enjoyed most about reading it, was watching how these characters meshed their ideals of, living a life of freedom and purpose, living life to the fullest, all of that sort of thing, how they meshed those ideas that they were developing and embracing in their philosophical writings or poetry, how they mesh those ideas with their own personal lives. So did they actually live by those ideas or did they not? Most of them did, but as inevitable with life sometimes, it also entailed some compromise. So for example, some characters who said they would never marry or despised the institution of marriage ended up marrying for various reasons, and no harm, no foul there. It was just cool to see how people's ideals butt up against real life, and how sometimes the ideals shape real life and sometimes it's the other way around. If I had one criticism of the book, and it's not so much criticism of the book as a criticism or a complaint about, or a commentary about, any sort of literary circle or academic clique or niche like this, or anytime you get a close-knit group like this, there's a lot of affection and a lot of closeness, which is awesome, but also a lot of infighting and bickering and, oh, I came up with that idea first, you're just stealing my idea and riding on my coattails, or this isn't good enough, this will never sell to an audience, I can't publish this, and you're no longer my friend, and stuff like that, which is just kind of obnoxious and tiresome. Again, it's not really a criticism of the book so much as a criticism of, or an indictment of, maybe academia. I've still seen this stuff in modern academia. I'm not in academia anymore, but when I was, I certainly saw a fair share of this. So unfortunately, it's a thing. But overall, really great book. I recommend it, as well as The Invention of Nature. Andrea Wulf's an awesome writer, and she shares some backstory about her own life in the prologue, and it's really insightful and inspiring. She really, in some ways, lives by these ideals of freedom and not playing by conventional rules that these characters embrace. So it's nice to see her writing also meshing with her own life and ideals in a real way. So yeah, really recommend this book. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like these. I read a lot and watch a lot of movies to some extent, sometimes. Not so much lately, but I consume a lot of content. So if you want me to do more reviews, I would love to. I'm going to be reading this stuff anyway, and I would love to tell you about it. So, in fact, I'm probably going to do it anyway, whether you want me to or not. But it's really nice to know that this is getting some reception. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day, great week, and a great end to 2022. See you all next time.